Nunavut is Canada's newest territory, created in 1999. Since then, it has been seen as one of the most beautiful locations in the country, as well as one of the greatest centers of culture. The territory's world-famous artists produce works ranging from prints to sculpture. The greatest influence on culture is the Inuit dedication to tradition, and one of these greatest traditions is their love of hunting and the country foods that are produced from this. A recent survey found that nearly half of Inuit eat country food every day. However, many other areas of their diet are lacking, replaced by cheaper alternatives known as junks. Research has found that this diet is based largely on the low accessibility of fresh food, which has to be flown in from the south at great expense. This is why, in March 2014, a group of students and adults from Ontario flew to Cape Dorset, Nunavut, to try and teach them how to incorporate healthy foods into their traditional meals. The program is called Eat Fit, and the goal is to educate people in these remote areas about nutritional foods and a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, so we're at Toronto Pearson Airport waiting for Fink and everybody else to come. Then we will get on the plane for Ottawa around 4 o'clock and hopefully all goes well. We have the pigs and all the food with us. And from there we hope everything stays good and warm, hopefully warm. Yeah.
After a layover in Ottawa and then Iqaluit, where some students saw their first example of Inuit culture, the group boarded the plane for Cape Dorset.
Alright, so in the past 8 hours we've been on a plane for like 5. Just arrived here, just kind of unpacking and packing up, getting ready to go to the dance and meet these kids and such and see what's up with that.
The next day was spent getting to know the town and the kids the students would be working with for the next week. They were very excited to meet each other and began to bond over a game of soccer.
This is our first kind of official night in Cape Dorset, Nunavut on the Eat Fit trip. And after playing soccer with these kids most of the afternoon, I kind of figured out they're kind of unreal. They got some mad skills. They make David Beckham look like an amateur.
And after we played soccer, we went for a tour in town, and it was pretty cool. It was really cold, and it was all ice. It was awesome.
Meanwhile, the adults planned the cooking and fitness activities the Cape Dorset students would be a part of. The next day, the programs would begin. Every morning began with the fitness program. Kids from all across the town came to the school to learn new, fun ways of getting exercise. The program was originally designed like a boot camp, but seeing how much the kids loved games inspired several changes.
So here's what's gonna happen. We realized that doing a boot camp wouldn't grab everybody's attention and keep them with us. We played clothespin tag. We did a whole bunch of games that kept everybody interested, everybody like all ages, and everybody had fun and kept returning and can't wait to play it by themselves.
Over the next week, several hundred kids would participate in the program. Meanwhile, the planning of the cooking program was much more complicated. Before teaching the kids how to cook, the group first needed to learn why making fresh meals from scratch was so uncommon in the first place. On a visit to one of the local supermarkets, they learned that some foods are nearly twice as expensive as they would be in the south.
Food here is very expensive because everything has to be flown in.
Fresh food is more expensive, which is why people don't want to cook.
However, expensive foods were not the only thing between the locals and healthy eating. Several other opinions were formed to explain this.
The bigger issue to me, it seems, now that I've been here for about a week, is that cooking skill is not really everywhere. And so people aren't really proficient in cooking, and so buying frozen food or processed stuff is just a lot easier. And I really hope that even just a bit of excitement around cooking food from scratch for yourself is what we're leaving behind.
While the group could do nothing to change the cost of food, they could definitely increase enthusiasm for cooking. By using familiar ingredients to create new dishes, they hoped to spark an interest in the children. For example, the Inuit love fish and soy sauce, so they were introduced to fresh sushi.
First of all, they started out being really timid and they didn't really want to try cooking and they didn't really want to get their hands into what they were doing or get involved in it in any way. But as they started trying what they cooked and as they started getting involved, they started really liking it, and we've gotten more people keep coming, and it's just become like a big family meal kind of at meal times.
The food is really good. You gotta taste it. It's really good.
Any old time you keep me waiting.
So we're just making some crepes here, as you can see, with these young ladies. I'm gonna flip this and I'm gonna do it. You ready? You watching? Ready? Go! Oh yeah! Look at me go.
Over the next week, they would make many different dishes, and at the end of the final class, they were given a special present to help continue to work on the skills they had learned.
So you guys we have a little deal for you guys, and that is since you guys prepared all this great food here, we want you to hopefully take some of these recipes home and share it with your family. And in order to do that, our wonderful friends at Langostina Canada have donated pots and pans to you to take home as a little gift for you for being such great people. Audi and friends.
Keep me waiting. I'm a lonely boy. I'm a lonely boy. I got love to keep me.
I'm gonna try to make this when I go home.
In between the programs, the Ontario students had plenty of time to explore Cape Dorset. They also spent a lot of time getting to know the local kids and learning what life was like there. To learn more about the traditional food of the Inuit, they were also taken on a trip out on the land, where they were touched by the generosity of the locals, who helped them by donating warm clothes.
This morning, a bunch of friendly locals came to the school and brought a bunch of clothing for the students to wear on the land.
I'm wearing 7 layers of clothing with a great big parka on top.
And they would need them. Riding in snowmobiles and humatucks out to the middle of a lake in negative 45-degree weather, they set up to begin ice fishing. Miles out of town, set against a backdrop of picturesque mountains, local elders demonstrated many different fishing and hunting techniques.
Yep.
These are both a source of the popular country foods like Arctic char and caribou. The Southerners were fascinated by the work it took to get these traditional foods, and by the time they retired for the day, they had learned a lot. On that same topic, the group also attended the community meal, where the locals brought in all the foods they had caught and divided it evenly among each other. Some of the lucky students even got to try this local food.
We're at the Northern Community Feast,
And we're going to be eating frozen caribou, fish, seal, I think.
After the meal, the celebration continued with traditional games, which some students even got to participate in. That entire afternoon had been a culture shock for the students from Ontario, but there were some parts of life in Cape Dorset that stayed the same as at home. This was proved when the group attended a hockey game. However, one of the most memorable learning experiences for the students was a trip out of town to see how an igloo is built.
Really cool that we got to learn how to build an igloo, and we saw it, and once it was done, like, we tried it inside, and like, it was really warm.
Around the igloo were also several mountains, and the students climbed one, only to find themselves looking out over one of the most beautiful views of the trip, the frozen Arctic Ocean. This iconic piece of Inuit culture really made it sink in for the students how amazing their experience was, and how lucky they were to have taken part. After many more learning experiences and many more cooking and fitness programs, it was time to say one final sad goodbye before boarding the plane for home. As they sat on the plane watching their home for a week disappear, the students realized that they had learned more from the locals than they could ever return.
From this trip, I learned a lot.
I've learned so much from this trip.
I
learned so much. I learned a lot about their culture.
I think one of the main things I learned or already knew but reminded me is how wonderful it is to share time with new people and get to know new people.
The community here works really well together and everyone is very happy and friendly.
I love the communities and the landscape and the people and everything about it.
Well, I've learned how to pick up garbage after a bunch of kids.
Different cultures and the traditions through and through, the elders teaching the little kids.
I've also made some new friends.
I've learned how to sleep on a thin mat. That's about it.
It's just a great community to be in.
It's been a real good experience.
It was amazing.
I don't know, learn that there's so many parts of Canada that I want to explore and meet so many people.
We're here to connect to a community, to connect to kids, and to share values and to share our experience, our way of cooking, and to embrace their culture and their way of cooking. We don't come up here believing we're going to change this society. But I believe that we take a hell of a lot more out of this experience than we can ever give them in return.
It was true that during the trip, it was the goal of the Eat Fit group to educate the kids on healthy eating and an active lifestyle. They all thought they had achieved that goal, along with planting the seeds for more programs to follow. However, something they hadn't planned for was the amount they learned from the people of Cape Dorset. The Inuit values of sharing, respect for their traditions, and spirit of community togetherness were very touching, and are things that southern communities could definitely learn from. Beyond the simple cooking and fitness goals of the program, it proved one thing beyond a doubt. We all have different talents, and we can all learn from each other. Canada is such a huge country with so many diverse people, and if they work together, they could build the greatest country in the world.